Hello. So, today we are going to recap what happened in book 21 of the Odyssey, The Test of the Bow, and we are going to introduce book 22 of the Odyssey, Death in the Great Hall. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so as you recall, Penelope, Odysseus's wife, in book 21 has lost all hope of Odysseus's return. Dramatic irony. And she is going to give the suitors a test, okay? She brings out Odysseus's huge bow, and she says anyone who can string the bow and shoot an arrow through 12 axe heads will win my hand in marriage. Now, this is super intelligent and super cunning because not a lot of people can do this. In fact, maybe no one can do this except for, you guessed it, Odysseus. Great. And so this is what's happening. And the suitors are like, I've got this. Yes. So they line up and they start attempting to string this bow, not even shoot the bow. They start trying to string the bow. And guess what? Nobody can do it. And it's so funny, especially in the Gareth Hines version of this, because they taunt each other and they're making fun of each other. They're like, oh, you can't even string the bow. You're lame. You're weak. Ha ha. You're a shame on this island. Anyways, and so do you think that this is an accurate representation of how people would respond to a contest? I mean, I think about like track meets. I think of contests. Do you think this is the vibe, if you will? People taunting each other when things like this are at stake? I don't know. Is it the case in modern day? You be the judge. And so they're taunting each other, and Odysseus is watching all of this happen, and I bet he's just kind of laughing to himself. He gets up, and he's going to go test the loyalty of two of his servants. Eumaeus, which we know because he's the swineherd. He welcomed Odysseus into his home without knowing that it was Odysseus, and Philautius, okay? And so Philautius is another herdsman. He herds cows, okay? And so Philautius and Eumaeus, they're standing around and they're just kind of, so sad state of affairs in Ithaca. Oh. So Odysseus comes up as the beggar and he gives them a little test, okay? He says, hey, what would you do if Odysseus was back? And they're like, man, if Odysseus was back, I would throw my loyalty at him. I would be faithful to Odysseus. I would clear out this hall. Whoa. Oh my goodness. I wish he was back. Wish that guy was back. Things would be different. And Odysseus is like, well, guess what? And then he raises his little tunic, if you will, to show his scar. Remember the one that he showed Eurycleia? The one that proves that he is Odysseus? And both men are like, oh, it's you. Yeah, it's so great. And so both men are like, yes, we are here for whatever you need. And Odysseus promises them certain something, which I think is kind of interesting because these guys have got to be a little old by now. But hey, and so he promises them land, and he promises them, sheep and things to herd and all these things and houses by his. It's so great. And so he's like, all right, you're with me. Cool. Here's the plan. And so they're going to, of course, lock up the weapons. Telemachus has that order. He's gonna lock up the weapons. And then, of course, Eurycleia is going to lock up the maidservants. And so we've got this whole plan. Athena and Zeus are behind them. It's going to be great. Here comes the action. So Odysseus goes back into the halls and he's like, hey, can I try it? And all the men are like, no. And I think it's because you remember that fight earlier on with Iris and how Odysseus, he took off his tunic and he was all muscular and whatnot. Nobody expected that. Situational irony. Remember, situational irony is where you expect one thing and you get the opposite. You would expect a beggar guy to be all weak and flimsy and kind of gangly, but the opposite occurred. And so the suitors are like, whoa, wait a minute. We don't want this guy to show us up. Okay, we would be the talk of the town if this beggar man was able to string the bow and we were not. So no, we are not going to let this beggar guy string this bow. Absolutely not. And Penelope, she pipes up, and I love this. I love this response. She's like, "Oh, are you afraid that he's going to be able to marry me after this? If he's successful, that's not going to happen. Don't worry. If he wins this contest, I will give him clothes, I'll give him food, and I'll give him safe passage and comfort to wherever he needs to go. So don't worry. Just let him try. I bet he won't be successful. All right, just don't worry. Tut tut. Okay." And so she's just so intelligent with her responses. I love it. So the suitors are just over there grumbling. They're like, "Oh, he's not gonna be able to do it." So Odysseus goes over to the bow, and he is very slow in his actions. He takes the bow and he turns it. Then he turns it the other way. And he examines the string. And meanwhile, all the suitors are just like, "Oh, turn it slower. What's going on? Come on, get on with it." Brr. And they're just taunting him the entire time. And so I love the simile that happens here, the Homeric simile, where Homer describes playing the bow like a harp or a lyre. A lyre is like a little, it's kind of I'll put an image of it right here. It's like a instrument, it's guitar-ish, but not really. It's very plucky. And so a lot of Greeks would play this. Apollo played the lyre. And so it's described as playing an instrument like that. Like it's a musical thing. It's a form. It's an art form. I really like that simile. It's really cool. Anyway, so Eurycleia goes to lock up the maidservants. And then, of course, Telemachus goes to lock up the weapons. And so things are about to go down, y'all. Things are about to go down. And so Odysseus, after he slowly examines this bow and the string, he takes the string and he's like, "Ba-boom!" And all the suitors are like, "Wait, what? Did he just string that in one go? What?" And then all of a sudden he goes, "Wah, whoop!" And then it goes through the 12 axe heads and boom, cut, scene, end of book 21. Yeah. So book 22 begins right after that, and things are about to get interesting. I'm not going to give it away because I want you to read it, because oh my goodness, it reads like an action movie script. It really does. It's so fun. So enjoy the language. Don't get too hung up on the blood and stuff, It's not too descriptive. So enjoy the action movie that is about to happen in book 22.